My boyfriend proposed, promising to make me the happiest woman. But later, I found someone else's photos on his phone. And it said, love of my life. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Halfway there, a sudden downpour drenched me from head to toe. I clutched my takeout container and hurried a few steps, sheltering under the awning of a convenience store. It was already 9 o'clock at night, and Ethan Miller was still working late. I had a rare day off today, so I thought I'd surprise him, bringing him dinner without telling him. My cooking skills are actually pretty good, but because I'm busy with work, I don't cook very often. The evening breeze blew through my clothes, which were already clinging to me, wet. I couldn't help but sneeze. It wasn't far from Ethan Miller's company, only 200 or 300 meters. On a clear day, you could see the company's main entrance. Seeing that the rain showed no sign of stopping anytime soon, I gritted my teeth and plunged into the curtain of rain. A few steps from Ethan Miller's company, a figure rushed out of the company entrance. It was Ethan Miller. My smile had only half formed before it froze, because I saw him steadying a girl's arm. What are you doing here? Ethan Miller's voice was somewhat harsh, but it carried obvious concern. My steps halted, and I leaned against a wall where they couldn't see me. I didn't want to misunderstand Ethan Miller. The girl's voice sounded indistinct in the heavy rain. Ethan, I just missed you. I just wanted to see you. How many times have I told you? I don't want to see you. Don't come looking for me again. The girl's voice had a hint of tears. But, Ethan Miller's attitude towards her wasn't good. There are no buts. Just leave quickly. The girl seemed to have caught a chill and sneezed a few times. She tugged at Ethan Miller's sleeve and threw herself into his arms. I won't go, Then, just hold me again. She looked like a delicate, vulnerable beauty that would melt any man's heart. Which man wouldn't feel pity for her? Ethan Miller was no exception. He hesitantly raised his hand, sighing as if resigned. All right, stop crying, it's annoying. Ethan Miller took off his jacket, placed it over her head, and then led her by the hand, running into the rain. If Ethan Miller had turned around, he would have seen me. But he led the girl into a motel not far from his company. I didn't care to think about what would happen between them. The cold wind pierced me. I felt as if I had countless holes, and the cold wind could blow through them right to my core. A chilling sting. I don't know how I returned home like a zombie. It wasn't until I soaked myself in warm water that I regained a trace of sensation. That scene kept replaying in my mind. Before the two entered the hotel, the damp wind carried a sentence to my ears. Lily, what do you want me to do? When I was drying my hair on the sofa, the door lock clicked softly. Ethan Miller was back. I was actually a bit surprised that he would come back tonight. The clock on the wall already pointed to 11 o'clock at night. He saw I wasn't asleep, walked over, took the hairdryer from my hand, and began to dry my hair. Why aren't you asleep at this hour? Were you waiting for me? I worked late today. It was a bit late, but you see, I rushed back as soon as I got off work, didn't you? Rushed back as soon as he got off work, didn't he? I turned my head to look at him. Ethan Miller's clothes were soaked, and water was still dripping from his hair. He noticed my gaze, gave an awkward laugh, and tried to touch my head. I forgot my umbrella. I slightly tilted my head, avoiding his hand. I just got drenched too. Ethan Miller thought I was angry that he wasn't taking care of himself. I'll go make you some ginger tea and take a shower. After Ethan Miller left, I stared blankly at the pu. He left on the floor. We had been together for 4 years invested, but this was the first time I felt that I didn't know Ethan Miller as well as I thought. How could he come back and act like a good husband after flirting with another woman? I didn't understand his fearless confidence. Ethan Miller put a cup of ginger tea into my palm. The steam rose, blurring my vision. I always thought Ethan Miller loved me. He never hid his affection. My colleagues would envy me and tease me for finding such a loving boyfriend. I looked at Ethan Miller's eyes, which had hardly changed in 4 years, and tears suddenly wouldn't stop. Ethan Miller was the one who pursued me first. That was when I had just finished my internship and officially became a doctor. Becoming a doctor was my childhood dream, so I was full of enthusiasm. Mrs. Miller was my patient. She had broken a leg in a car accident. At first, she thought I was young and inexperienced, but she quickly became convinced by me. She often pulled me aside and talked about how excellent her son was. I grumbled to myself, thinking it wasn't a good sign that her son hadn't appeared for several days while his mother was hospitalized. On the 5th day, Ethan Miller finally appeared in the hospital room, looking roughing it. He explained that he had been on a business trip abroad and had just rushed back. From that day on, Ethan Miller stayed at the hospital. In between taking care of his mother, he would always find various excuses to talk to me. The interns in the same department said he was pursuing me. I verbally said he was just caring for his mother, but my heart fluttered a little. For no other reason, Ethan Miller, from his appearance to his personality, was exactly my type. But I was also afraid it was just a fleeting fancy. In the department, there were many stories, not a few of which involved various emotional disputes. Listening to all these stories every day, I almost closed off my heart to Ove. After his mother was discharged, we didn't contact each other for a while. I even breathed a sigh of relief then. To say I wasn't disappointed would be a lie. So when Ethan Miller suddenly asked me out, I agreed without much thought. Ethan Miller confessed his feelings to me. By the river, he produced a bouquet of flowers from somewhere. Sophia Grace, will you be my girlfriend? His eyes were sincere and free of any impurity. Give it a try, I told myself mentally. So I agreed to Ethan Miller's confession. In the days that followed, I felt like I had won the lottery jackpot. Ethan Miller was a perfect boyfriend. He knew when to be serious and when to relax, he created romance and surprises, and he brought me dinner when I was working late. Our relationship quickly deepened. I always thought Ethan Miller and I were a match made in heaven. We were each other's greatest love. But reality gave me a harsh blow. That hug in the rain was like a sharp thorn, shattering the strong love I thought we had. Ethan Miller told me I had to get up early shift the next day, urging me to finish my ginger tea and go to bed early. I wiped away my tears discreetly, pretending as if nothing had happened. Ethan Miller soon fell asleep. I listened as his breathing gradually became steady and calm. In the darkness, I opened my eyes. Tonight's moonlight wasn't very bright, but I could still make out Ethan Miller's silhouette. He was sleeping peacefully beside me. I fumbled for his phone on the nightstand and walked into the living room. My heart was pounding. I had always disdained checking phones. But I had to know what was going on with that woman today. I hoped it was a misunderstanding. But if not, I needed to make plans sooner rather than later. Perhaps because he trusted me too much, Ethan Miller hadn't changed his phone password. I easily unlocked his phone. Thanks to him always keeping his data when he changed phones, I quickly found what I wanted to see. That woman's name was Lily Davis. Her acquaintance with Ethan Miller was much earlier than I thought. They had been neighbors since childhood. Childhood sweethearts, innocent and inseparable. They had confessed their feelings to each other in high school. If not for a change in circumstances, perhaps they would have stayed together. But in their freshman year of college, everything changed. Mr. Miller had an affair. And the object of his had an affair was none other than Lily Davis's mother. Lily Davis's biological father had died young, leaving her and her mother to rely on each other. Because Ethan Miller had a good relationship with her since childhood, Ethan Miller's family had helped Lily Davis and her mother quite a bit. One thing led to another, and somehow, those two got involved. That day, Mrs. Miller came home and saw Mr. Miller coming out of Lily Davis's house. Lily Davis's mother leaned against the doorframe, reluctantly bidding him farewell. Mrs. Miller rushed forward to confront him, and Mr. Miller readily admitted their relationship. She was so furious that she had a heart attack. Fortunately, Mr. Miller had a bit of conscience left and sent her to the hospital. When Ethan Miller and Lily Davis returned for summer vacation, they were faced with such a mess. The day Mr. Miller and Mrs. Miller divorced, Lily Davis found Ethan Miller alone on the rooftop, getting some air. She had come to apologize on behalf of her mother. But Ethan Miller did not accept her apology. He couldn't forgive the other woman who had broken up his family on behalf of his mother. Ethan Miller and Lily Davis broke up completely. In that breakup, both were equally painful and innocent. But no matter what, they couldn't be together again. He hid his photos with Lily Davis in the deepest part of his phone's album, in the folder labeled, Love of My Life. After graduating from college, the two went their separate ways. His relationship with me initially started because of Mrs. Miller's fondness for me. Later, Ethan Miller also made up his mind to be with me properly and completely move on from the past. He thought he had forgotten Lily Davis, but when Lily Davis stood in the rain outside his company building, he couldn't ignore her. The youthful stirrings of his heart made him recall his time with Lily Davis. He couldn't help but care for her. Tonight, they didn't do anything. Ethan Miller dropped Lily Davis off at the hotel, offered a few comforting words, and then left. Even if Lily Davis later tried to manipulate him with manipulative words to get him to return. Unconsciously, tears once again wet my face. Love of my life, Lily Davis. So what am I? Am I Ethan Miller's second choice because he couldn't be with the person he loved? I resented Ethan Miller a little. Resented him for pursuing me when he still had someone else in his heart. Resented him for showing 10 times the love he felt for me, when it was only a fraction. And I resented him even more because even though he still loved Lily Davis, he hadn't done anything so terrible that it would allow me to harden my heart and leave him. I couldn't blame myself for being indecisive. After all, this was 4 years invested of emotions. I couldn't make a clean break. I sat on the sofa, crying almost all night. The next day, I had the early shift. I washed my face and went to work. Before I left, Ethan Miller had just woken up. He didn't notice anything unusual about me, just yawned and told me to be careful on the way. Even though I tried my best to perk up, I still made a mistake. Fortunately, the head nurse caught it in time, so no accident occurred. This won't do. I need to resolve this quickly. When I got home that evening, Ethan Miller had cooked a large table of dishes. He saw me come back and greeted me with a smile. "You're back, my project is finished, and I got a bonus today. I was going to take you out to celebrate, but I was afraid you'd be too tired after work. Go wash your hands and eat." After dinner, Ethan Miller was doing the dishes in the kitchen. I hugged him from behind, burying my face in his back. "Ethan Miller." My voice was muffled. After a day of thinking, I made a decision. No one is perfect. I couldn't demand Ethan Miller to be completely cold towards Lily Davis, whom he hadn't seen for years invested. A person who is cold to a former lover with whom they were forcibly separated would be too heartless. As long as he understood that Lily Davis couldn't and shouldn't return to the past, that would be enough. "Ethan Miller, we've been married for 2 years. Let's have a child." Ethan Miller turned around, his eyes filled with immense surprise. "Really? That's wonderful. When we first got married, I didn't want children because I didn't want it to affect my work. But Ethan Miller liked children. I knew that. So, seeing that I finally agreed, Ethan Miller happily picked me up and spun me around. Actually, I didn't suddenly want a child. I just found out today that I was pregnant. 5 weeks already. Although I had been careful with birth control, no birth control method is 100% effective. After a lot of thought, I decided to keep the child. I'm a light sleeper, so I heard Ethan Miller go out to the balcony to make a phone call in the middle of the night. "Lily Davis, I'm already married, and I'm going to have a child soon. I know you were innocent in what happened back then, but we can't be together anymore. Let's not contact each other anymore." Ethan Miller's words eased my mind slightly. At least he knew where his priorities lay. Lily Davis's somewhat sharp crying came through the phone. "Ethan, don't you want me anymore? What about me then? Does everyone dislike me? Should I just die?" Lily Davis's words made Ethan Miller suddenly tense up. "Lily? Lily, don't do anything foolish, I'm coming to you right now." Ethan Miller anxiously grabbed his car keys and rushed out the door. I stood at the bedroom doorway, watching his retreating figure. A second time. This was the second time I was standing where Ethan Miller could have seen me if he'd just turned around, but Ethan Miller rushed away for Lily Davis. To say I wasn't sad at all would be a lie. I looked down and stroked my lower abdomen. I was actually looking forward to this child too. After deciding to keep the baby, I had imagined many future scenarios. Would it be a boy or a girl? How Ethan Miller and I would eagerly await its arrival. But I couldn't let my child be born into such a family. A father who constantly thinks about another woman outside is not fit to be a father. The family I hoped for was one where parents loved each other, warm and harmonious. If that couldn't be, then I'd rather have none. I had actually tried to convince myself to consider the child more. But Ethan Miller's actions made it impossible for me to face him openly anymore. Even after 4 years invested. "I'm sorry, baby, I can't keep you." I opened my phone and scheduled the procedure for the next morning, then sat on the bed with my knees hugged to my chest all night. Ethan Miller didn't come back. In the early hours of the morning, I received a text message. It was a security footage from the living room. After a few seconds of darkness, the lights came on. Ethan Miller walked in, holding Lily Davis. Lily Davis was huddled in his arms, crying and hitting his shoulder. "Why? Why did you save me? Just let me die." Ethan Miller didn't speak, just let her cry. His hand tightened slightly, his face still showing traces of shock. From their conversation, I gathered that Lily Davis had attempted to jump. To be precise, she almost did. Ethan Miller had finally managed to coax her back from the rooftop. As for who sent me the video, I didn't even need to think about it. Lily Davis wanted to use it to hurt me, to provoke me. Ideally, I would go to her and make a scene, which would make her appear innocent and pitiful. But after I decided to give up on Ethan Miller, I wouldn't be sad about his intimacy with her anymore. The next day's examination and procedure left me physically and mentally exhausted. I walked out of the hospital, clutching my lower abdomen, which was still vaguely aching, leaning against the wall. Turning a corner, I saw Ethan Miller. He was carefully helping Lily Davis, her bag was slung over his arm, and in one hand he held a medical report. Lily Davis was half leaning against him, her face pale, looking ill. I had just lost our child, and Ethan Miller was here waiting on another woman hand and foot. I squeezed my eyes shut, a bitter ache in my heart. Ethan Miller, when you find out what you lost today, will you regret it? Or will you breathe a sigh of relief, thinking I've removed an obstacle between you and Lily Davis? After returning home, I fell into a deep sleep. It was a very restless sleep. My dreams were chaotic, filled with Lily Davis's mockery, Ethan Miller's cold words, and mixed with the sound of a child crying. I struggled several times to wake up, but it was no use. Sophia Grace? Sophia Grace? Ethan Miller's voice pulled me back from the nightmare. Opening my eyes, I saw Ethan Miller's concerned gaze. What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare? Your face looks terrible. Are you feeling unwell somewhere? I didn't want to see him, so I closed my eyes and shook my head. Ethan Miller brought a wet towel and wiped the cold sweat from my forehead. He saw me curled up in bed, clutching my stomach, and thought I had my period. After showering, he climbed into bed, wrapping his arms around me from behind, his warm palm resting on my lower abdomen. Even after taking a shower, I could still smell a faint perfume on Ethan Miller that wasn't his. That scent seemed to scream, declaring her claim over him. I frowned and kicked him away. Get away from me. Ethan Miller looked at me in surprise. He probably didn't understand why I, who was always gentle with him, would suddenly act this way. He gave himself an explanation. I was in a bad mood because of my period. Ethan Miller gently patted my head. All right, I'll sleep in the living room. Call me if you need anything. Ethan Miller left, but I couldn't sleep. I got out of bed and started quietly tidying things up. I took the pregnancy test out of the drawer. I had originally planned to show it to him this morning, but clearly, there was no need now. But it wasn't too late to show it to him now. I found a box and carefully placed the pregnancy test, the medical report, and the abortion procedure record inside, in chronological order. Although I no longer loved Ethan Miller, that didn't mean I had no resentment towards his and Lily Davis's actions. I wouldn't mind making things difficult for them now. Ethan Miller's eagerness for a child wasn't fake, so let him see what his child would have been. Lily Davis wasn't a peace-loving person. Seeing that I had no reaction to the video she sent, she decided to show up in person. My condition had been really poor lately, so out of consideration for both my body and my patients, I had taken annual leave. Ethan Miller still had to go to work, so he could only tell me to rest well. While he was out, I started packing my luggage. A knock sounded at the door, and outside was Lily Davis. She stared at me for a few seconds, then tilted her head and gave me a sweet smile. Ethan isn't home, is he? I looked at her coldly. If you have something to say it quickly. It's nothing, I just came to drop off clothes. Ethan left his shirt at my place that day. This was a provocation, a display, a blatant flaunting of what had happened between them. If I didn't fight back, I would look like a pushover. Lily Davis? Ethan mentioned you before. You're just like your mother, aren't you? Lily Davis's eyes quickly welled up with tears. I'm sorry, but please don't misunderstand Ethan. I just came to drop something off. And then I'll leave. I ignored her, just watching the elevator outside the door go up. The elevator door opened, and sure enough, it was Ethan Miller. He rushed over in 3 steps. His first words were, Lily, are you okay? His second words were, what are you doing here? Didn't I tell you to call me if you needed me? Then he finally looked at me. Lily Davis looked at me with a wronged expression. I'm sorry. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. Just please don't take it out on Ethan. Ethan Miller gave me a disapproving look and started to lead Lily Davis away. Didn't the doctor tell you to rest at home? Why are you out? I lowered my eyes, looking at their clasped hands. Ethan Miller. Ethan Miller glanced back at me. I understood that look. Ethan Miller clearly wanted to say, Sophia Grace, you're going too far. I couldn't help but let out a light laugh. Indeed, a biased heart is unreasonable. Ethan Miller came back a bit angry. Sophia Grace, Lily Davis is just my old neighbor. Why were you so harsh with her today? When did you become so petty? Ethan Miller, we've known each other for quite a while. Don't you know what kind of person I am? You think it's my fault just based on Lily Davis's word? As I spoke, tears uncontrollably streamed from my eyes. My suppressed emotions suddenly burst forth. I am human, and I have feelings. Even though I had decided to cut ties cleanly with Ethan Miller, the emotions I had invested over these 4 years invested were real. Ethan Miller was startled by my sudden crying. He quickly pulled me into his arms. I'm sorry, my tone was too harsh. It's just that a lot of things have been bothering me recently, and I spoke too strongly. I'm sorry, don't cry. I sniffled, lowering my head. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Ethan Miller heard my soft mumbling and stroked my hair. All right, stop crying. I don't blame you. I silently scoffed at him in my heart. I wasn't apologizing to him. I was apologizing to our unborn child. Even though not having this child was the best decision after weighing the pros and cons, I still felt that I was too cruel to him. My poor child, I wonder if he can forgive me. When I was drafting the divorce agreement, Lily Davis added me on WeChat. I thought about it and accepted her friend request. I knew she would continue to provoke me. It didn't matter, every message she sent me would be evidence of Ethan Miller's had an affair. Lily Davis didn't send me a message actively, but I saw her social media posts. Found a new job today, time to work hard. The background was Ethan Miller's workplace, and even a corner of Ethan Miller's clothing was visible in the photo. Over the next period, Lily Davis frequently updated her social media posts. She seemed to be sharing bits and pieces of her life, but in reality, Ethan Miller's presence was in every photo. And none of her social media posts had likes, clearly indicating she had blocked others and was only showing them to me. I pretended not to notice, and resigned from my job behind Ethan Miller's back. I still had another month before I could leave, so I let her attention seek her for a while longer. At Ethan Miller's company annual party, I saw Lily Davis again. His company's annual party wasn't about anything important, just eating, drinking, and having fun, so many employees brought their family members. Lily Davis wore a blush pink dress, making her appear pure and demure. She walked up to Ethan Miller and extended her hand, inviting him to dance. Ethan Miller looked at me hesitantly. I smiled and waved him on. Go ahead. Lily Davis and Ethan Miller's dance movements seemed as if they had practiced 1,000 times. Their movements were fluid, their coordination perfect, attracting many people's attention. Lily Davis held Ethan Miller's shoulder and, meeting my gaze, provocatively curled her lips. I wasn't angry, I simply raised my glass and nodded at her. When Ethan Miller was no T far from me, I softly called his name. Ethan Miller. Ethan Miller keenly heard my voice. He immediately let go of Lily Davis and quickly walked to my side. I clutched my forehead. Ethan Miller, I'm not feeling well. Can we go home? Ethan Miller had let go so quickly that Lily Davis almost fell. She stood behind Ethan Miller, glaring at me fiercely, as if I had stolen something from her. Ethan Miller, can we go home? I said to him softly again. Ethan Miller nodded and accompanied me home. Perhaps it was the allure of what was unattainable. Lately, I hadn't been giving Ethan Miller a good attitude, so when I was unusually kind to him, Ethan Miller dropped Lily Davis and came home with me. Lily Davis was probably furious. When I woke up the next morning, I found several text messages from Lily Davis on my phone. Sophia Grace, the one who isn't loved is the other woman. How can your brief connection compare to Ethan and my years invested of love and hate entanglement? I advise you to have some dignity and stop clinging to Ethan, lest you be swept out the door in a humiliating manner. An attention seeker in a frenzy. I looked at the messages and only found them amusing. Mrs. Miller somehow found out that Lily Davis was back. She was so angry that she was hospitalized again. In the hospital room, she looked at Ethan Miller furiously, her outstretched hand trembling with anger. Are you only happy if you drive me to my grave? Once I'm dead, you can be with that vixen's daughter without any obstacles. Ethan Miller, are you betraying me? You're just like your father. Ethan Miller stood by her hospital room bed, holding her hand. Mom, don't say that. I won't be with Lily Davis. Mrs. Miller gasped for a few breaths. Yes, you won't be with her, but you're hugging and embracing her. Are you betraying me? Are you betraying Sophia? Ethan Miller lowered his head. I'm sorry. Mrs. Miller stared at him. I'm telling why. I only recognize Sophia Grace as my daughter-in-law. If you continue to see that little hussy, then you can pretend you don't have a mother. Ethan Miller promised her he would never see Lily Davis again. I stood by, almost laughing out loud. Wasn't this like declaring me the undisputed queen, even after all this? Ethan Miller really thought he was hot stuff, didn't he? After doing something like this, would I still be waiting at home, hoping for him to come to his senses? Now, I just find him repulsive. Every inch of him is tainted with Lily Davis's scent, proclaiming the fact of his had an affair. Disgusting. For a while, Ethan Miller seemed to have indeed stopped contacting Lily Davis. But he couldn't have imagined that even if he made everything look seamless, the kind, simple, Lily Davis in his heart would still reveal his actions to me. Lily Davis sent me another video. Let me show you my new home. Every part of her residence was carefully arranged. I could tell there were many things Ethan Miller liked. Ethan and I decorated this together. Isn't it pretty? A kept woman, how fitting for you. I sincerely offered my blessing. Lily Davis, however, seemed to lose her composure. You little hussy, why do you insist on clinging to Ethan Miller? Ethan Miller and I are truly in love. The only obstacle between Ethan Miller and me is the older generation's affairs. Now his father is dead, and his mother is sickly and won't live much longer. Why don't you save yourself some dignity? I thought she had a point. Oh, sure. I've seen those popular videos online where wives arrange their husbands' extramarital affairs. Don't worry, I still have quite a bit of savings. Before Ethan Miller and I divorce, I'll make sure to throw a grand celebration for the two of you. I moved out of what used to be our home while Ethan Miller was at work. Ethan Miller searched for me for 2 days before I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop. Ethan Miller's eyes reddened the moment he saw me. Sophia, where have you been all this time? I've been frantic looking for you. I stirred my coffee. It's impressive you could even remember me. I thought you were lost in Lily Davis's comforting embrace and couldn't wake up. Admit it, you can't forget Lily Davis. No, I'm not. Ethan Miller seemed a bit agitated. I put a finger to my lips. Public place, keep your voice down. After all, you're a decent person. Ethan Miller eagerly tried to grab my hand. Sophia, let me explain. I smiled faintly. Ethan Miller, you just haven't recognized your own feelings. Why don't we cool off for a while? Perhaps my attitude seemed to soften, and Ethan Miller nodded hastily. Okay, Sophia, as long as you're willing to forgive me, anything is fine. I took out a beautifully wrapped cardboard box. Our 2-year wedding anniversary gift. I winked at Ethan Miller. Open it when you get home, okay? You'll love it. Ethan Miller took the box and left impatiently. I dropped the smile from my face and checked the time. The train was scheduled to depart in half an hour. Ethan Miller, goodbye forever. After Ethan Miller returned home, he eagerly opened the gift. The first thing that caught his eye was a pregnancy test, and below it was a medical report. There was also an ultrasound image. The date indicated it was from the day Sophia Grace said she wanted a child. They were having a child. He was going to be a father. Ethan Miller couldn't stop smiling. Sophia Grace really was something, keeping such important news from him for so long. Ethan Miller wished he could rush to Sophia Grace's side immediately. There were a few more papers in the box, so he patiently continued to look through them. Ethan Miller was looking forward to what other surprises Sophia Grace would bring him. The page below the medical report was an abortion procedure record. A procedure record dated just 1 day after the medical report. Ethan Miller's smile froze on his face. He repeatedly checked the name and date on the procedure record, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. He pulled out his phone and frantically called Sophia Grace, but the call went straight to voicemail. Ethan Miller collapsed to the floor as if drained of all strength. His movements were too large, knocking over the box. The divorce papers at the bottom of the box fluttered all over the floor. But Ethan Miller no longer had the heart to read the contents of the divorce papers carefully. His eyes were fixed only on that procedure record. What was he doing that day? He was out all night because of Lily Davis, anxiously accompanying Lily Davis to the hospital for a checkup. Ethan Miller clutched the procedure record and cried aloud. Had he done something truly despicable? Ethan Miller wanted to find an excuse to defend himself, but he realized that he was wrong. Terribly wrong. During that time, he had been clinging to a deluded hope, thinking he could manage both sides' emotions. But Sophia Grace had seen everything he did. When she suggested having a child, Sophia Grace's gaze was clearly filled with expectation, wasn't it? What kind of disappointment made her change her mind? How desperate and sad she must have been when she gave up the child without hesitation. When she lay alone on the operating table, Ethan Miller dared not think further. Ethan Miller frustratingly grabbed his hair. He picked up his phone, then put it down again. He suddenly realized that when Sophia Grace was determined to leave, he had no idea where to look for her. Under the impact of immense grief, Ethan Miller fainted. When he woke up again, he was still lying on the living room floor. The room was dark. In the darkness, Ethan Miller vaguely called out Sophia Grace's name. Sophia, Sophia, where are you? I know I was wrong. He curled up into a ball like a child and cried loudly. Ethan Miller hit it home and started drinking heavily. As if the numbness of Alcohol could create the illusion of his past happiness. In the drunken dreams, the past became clearer. The details he hadn't noticed during that time now clearly floated in his mind. Sophia Grace's gaze growing colder towards him bit by bit. Sophia Grace's repeated veiled questions. He had been too oblivious. When Lily Davis came, she saw Ethan Miller's downcast, disheveled appearance. Hearing a knock at the door, Ethan Miller thought Sophia Grace had returned and staggered to open it. The moment he opened the door, he was immensely disappointed. "Why are you here?" Lily Davis frowned, repulsed by the smell of alcohol on him. "Ethan, Sophia Grace is gone. Can we finally be together?" Ethan Miller glared at her. "Get out." Lily Davis wiped away her tears and pressed close to him. "Ethan, I've waited for this day for so long. There's no one else by your side now. Please don't think about Sophia Grace anymore. Let's just live our lives well, just like before." "You have the nerve to bring up before." Ethan Miller pulled Lily Davis away and pushed her. "Ethan, are you going to take your anger out on me too? Don't you understand that I'm innocent?" Ethan Miller crouched down and grabbed Lily Davis's face. "Since you remember me saying you're innocent, you should also remember that I told you, after what your mother did, we can never be together. Tomorrow, I'll buy you a ticket. Go back to wherever you came from." Lily Davis hugged Ethan Miller's arm. "Ethan, I won't go, please, I truly, deeply love you. Ethan, please be with me." Even with Lily Davis begging so humbly, Ethan Miller showed no sign of softening. "Be with you?" he scoffed, his expression looking almost menacing. "Be with you just to provoke my mother, or be with you just to torture myself?" Ethan Miller knew he was the one responsible for the child's death. His child with Sophia Grace had died because of his infidelity, because of his indecision. But he couldn't help taking his anger out. Seeing Lily Davis reminded him of all the terrible things he had done, and how terribly he had erred before. Even if it meant he was just escaping. He never wanted to see Lily Davis again. Ethan Miller had been to Sophia Grace's workplace. Colleagues said she had resigned and gone to a rural village to work as a primary care physician, but no one knew exactly where she had gone. So Ethan Miller resigned and began searching everywhere for Sophia Grace's whereabouts. He searched with an almost penitent devotion, seeking atonement. For 3 years, he traveled through nearly half of the mountainous regions. But he still hadn't found Sophia Grace. They had officially divorced a year ago, after 2 years of separation, when Sophia Grace filed for divorce. Ethan Miller had hoped to see Sophia Grace in court, but only her appointed lawyer appeared. Finally, he found Sophia Grace in a remote small rural village. Gazing at the figure that had haunted his dreams, Ethan Miller feared it was all an illusion. He stared almost greedily at Sophia Grace's back until she turned around. She was more tanned than 3 years ago, but her expression was relaxed and cheerful. Ethan Miller couldn't help but rush towards her. Sophia Grace had just finished greeting an elderly woman and was walking away. "Sophia." Ethan Miller saw a flicker of confusion in Sophia Grace's eyes. He realized that after years of roughing it, he probably looked like a homeless man. Just as he was about to reveal his identity, a man called out to her from a distance. "Sophia, hurry, or we'll miss our ride." Sophia Grace gave Ethan Miller an apologetic smile and turned, running towards the man. Ethan Miller watched Sophia Grace quickly take a couple of steps, link arms with the man, and look up at him, smiling. A few village women nearby sat under a tree, cracking sunflower seeds and chatting. "Dr. Grace is such a good person. She tirelessly holds free clinics in the surrounding 6 lodges, yes, and she and Dr. Carter are so well matched. I heard they're getting married." Sophia Grace was going to remarry. The wind howled past his ears. Ethan Miller understood. He had finally lost her. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.